So the short version, I liked it. The long version, Hi everyone and welcome to Shaluso, and yes, today we are talking about why I bought a vintage watch. Now for those followers of the channel, you'll have probably noticed in my last video I was talking about getting a brand new or at least very recent Grand Seiko GMT, or if not the Seiko Presage GMT. Now that search is still on, but it's kind of put to the side because a week ago I bought this, a 1991 Breitling Chronomat with a two-tone bezel and steel rouleau bracelet. And today I'm going to talk about why, essentially from one day to the next, I bought a 30-year-old watch with no real research going behind it. And despite the fact it was sort of an opportunistic purchase, a lot of the factors that led to me seeing that opportunity and saying, yes, I have to do this, have been sort of cooking for a while. And that's what I'm going to explore today. And before I get started, also let me know in the comments below if you have any vintage watches in your collection and what sort of went through your mind when you got them, why did you get them, and what's your experience been with owning them since you bought them. Now I'll do a full review of this soon, but I wanted to highlight sort of what was going through my head when I bought this, because I've had this for only about a week. So a lot of that thought process is still very fresh in my mind, and I wanted to highlight that while it was still there. Now the first thing is that this watch isn't the only 30-year-old thing on your screen. I also turned 30 this year, so this is a birth year watch for me. And now birth year watches are a little bit of a dicey business because for the most part, it's to do with the date on the papers. It's not guaranteed to be the date of manufacture. Case in point, this reference was in production from 1990 up until about 1994. So even though the papers say September 91, for all I know, it could have been made in the beginning of 91, middle of 91, end of 90, beginning of 90. It could have been made anywhere in that range. So for all I know, this watch could actually be a bit older than me, or it could be a bit younger than me, but it's close enough. And secondly, when it comes to birth year watches, at the end of the day, these watches have a pretty long lifespan. It doesn't make a lot of sense just to fixate on the year that it was sold, because that doesn't really influence anything else. And also in the cases of things like the Rolex 16610, which ran for 20 years, you can bypass a lot of improvements that are made to the watch over the course of its lifespan, depending on which year you buy it from. But definitely the first thing that caught my eye and put this watch on my radar was that the watch was from 91 with the full paperwork to prove it. The second factor though is probably the most important, and that was the condition that the watch was in. Being a 30-year-old watch, there's a lot can go wrong. There's water damage, there's obviously tons of scratches, there's over polishing, there's missing parts, there's rickety bracelets. There's so much that can go wrong to a watch when you're getting it so old. But this happened to be in really, really good condition. Now, obviously it has been polished a few times, especially when you look at the bracelet, the etching where it says Breitling, you can barely see it with the naked eye, but you can still feel it. The case, however, is in great condition, and despite the fact you can't really see the Breitling script on the bracelet, the rest of the bracelet is actually in really, really good condition. Someone's clearly taking the time to tighten it up. This has no stretch whatsoever. It feels like a brand new modern bracelet. It doesn't have any of the downsides condition-wise that you would expect from a watch that's been around for 30 years. It runs well. This was released before Breitling started COSC certifying all of its movements, so it's not the world's most accurate watch. Currently, I've had it for a week and it runs about -5 seconds a day. So probably eventually when I get a service, I'll probably get it regulated so that it runs within COSC. But for now, -5 seconds a day, that's not that bad in the grand scheme. And when I bought it, I checked the seals. They had all been replaced. All of the gaskets were new, and there was no signs of water damage inside the movement, which was really important to me. So the condition of the watch was a big, big player in the sense that it meant I could satisfy getting a birth year watch without compromising on condition. A lot of the times when you're looking for a specific birth year or a specific year of manufacture or sale, you end up having to compromise just because it's a huge limiting factor. But because this wasn't something that was as premeditated, it meant that I only really had the interest once I saw the condition, and the birth year watch thing was just sort of a bonus that sort of sweetened the deal essentially. And then the last reason I got this watch was that I had wanted a chronomat for quite some time. Since the release of the 2020 Chronomat, I really, really loved the idea of having this watch that had its origins in the 1980s. If you've seen a bunch of my videos before, you'll by now notice that I really, really love the 80s and the 90s as sort of an era for design, whether it's in watches, cars, clothing, music, movies. Just in general, creatively, it's a more appealing time for me. Apparently that's a symptom in my generation. We're nostalgic for eras that we didn't actually live in or that we were really young in. But anyway, this represented that period. And while yes, I do love the new Chronomat, I've actually tried it on a couple times. The one that I really want is the Frecce Tricolori, and that one is currently out of my budget. And somehow the aesthetic of the Chronomat, at the end of the day, this is what it was originally designed for. The sizing, the proportions, all of that was designed to be in this sort of package, 40mm. And it comes in two-tone with yellow gold instead of the rose gold that you can get with the current one. So it's a lot more authentic to what it is that actually appealed to me about the Chronomat to begin with. Now, obviously, on paper, it would make much more sense to get the modern Chronomat. You know, it's got modern construction, it's got a current warranty, you can buy it new, you can buy it pre-owned, it's got the B01 on the inside, it's got better water resistance, the list goes on. But there was something about this that just appealed on an emotional level. So all these factors stacked together that when I saw the opportunity to get it, it was like, shelve everything, just buy it. Now I'll make a full review of this watch as well, but I just wanted to outline sort of what was going through my head and going through my heart when I made this decision, because at the end of the day, these are very emotional decisions. I can talk all I want about how I justified it, but let's face it. Like I said at the beginning, I saw it, I liked it, I bought it. It's that simple. So let me know in the comments below, what vintage watches do you have in your collection or are you considering buying and why? I'd love to know your thoughts and your experiences in the comment section below. And of course, if you like this video, make sure you like it and share it. If you want to see more pictures and infographics of watches as seen throughout this and all my other videos, then make sure you follow me on Instagram at Shaluso. If you want to see more videos of watches, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell as well so you know when the next video comes out. In any case, thanks for watching this video and we'll catch you on the next one.